and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary and today I'm going to be doing my top 10 favorite Black Mirror episodes. Now if you don't already know, Black Mirror is a dystopian sci-fi anthology series on Netflix, but it wasn't always on Netflix for 2 seasons. It was on channel 4, and when it shifted onto Netflix season 3 onwards, you can really tell because the production quality dramatically improves, and you'll find that a lot of my favorite episodes are actually from season 3 and 4. I unfortunately didn't react to any of Black Mirror because I was mainly watching it on my small iPhone on Flix bus trips around Europe, and that's where I really discovered it and really fell in love with the show. So I'm a little bit late to the bandwagon because that was about 6 or 7 months ago. But in saying that, everything is fresh in my brain. So if you haven't watched Black Mirror, or if you haven't watched Black Mirror in a while, this might be a nice little refresher for you, or it could be very educational for you. Either way, keep on watching if you want to know my top favorite Black Mirror episodes. So I'm gonna start off with my 10th favorite episode, and this one is called Shut Up and Dance. It's from season 3, episode 3. Weeks after watching this episode, I was disturbed. I was just perpetually in this disturbed state of mind, and it disturbed me for a few reasons. Number one being, it is completely possible for a hacker in today's age to hack into your computer and then extort you for all of your private content on your computer. And number two, I did not see what was coming. I remember feeling really frustrated because I felt that the blackmail just will never end. It just kept going and going, and for me it was a little bit repetitive in that way. But the acting was phenomenal. Alex Lawther's performance, our main character, amazing. His co-star, which some of you may know from Game of Thrones, Jerome Flynn, also amazing. He's also being blackmailed by this hacker online. It's definitely one to watch. Prepare yourselves. Nosedive, season 3, episode 1. This episode was completely identical to season 5, episode 8 of Community, and it actually came out 2 years before Black Mirror's Nosedive. Black Mirror's take on it was obviously the sci-fi version, whereas Community's version of the Meow Meow Beans app just affected Greendale Community College students.
What did you think of the way the dean introduced us?
I thought he did great. That's why I'm giving him 5 Meow Meow Beans.
I think why that would be a popular theme is because we are driven by numbers. And I really feel for the protagonist, Lacey, who is played by Bryce Dallas Howard, because she really tries to be perfect all the time, and I think at least some of us can relate to that. But it does get mentally exhausting at times. You always want to see her succeed, but she just takes it too far, and then eventually you're just like, okay girl, you just really need to quit. With most of Black Mirror episodes, this one had a great message, and it takes you on a great character development journey. At number 8, we have Be Right Back, season 2, episode 1. This is about a lady whose boyfriend sadly passes away in a car crash, and she discovers she can actually reproduce a humanoid version of him using his data from all of his social media to replicate his personality. I'm pretty sure they used his DNA somehow as well to create this humanoid version of him. The concept was really cool to me because, I mean, this particular episode was made in 2013, I believe. This version of a humanoid robot was obviously very, very advanced because we don't know when this episode was actually set in the future. But it made me think of Sophia, the actual humanoid robot who was developed in Hong Kong in 2016, and even though she looks and she speaks very intelligently, you can very much distinctly tell she is a robot. But this particular robot in this episode was so human-like, you could not tell that he was, well, I mean, you could tell a little bit, but for the most part, you couldn't tell that he was a robot. It was very interesting to see a glimpse into how far humanoid robots can really go. Oh, it's very, very sad. It made me cry. I got goosebumps constantly throughout the entire episode, so prepare yourself for that. Okay, so Crocodile, season 4, episode 3. This is at number 7 because I hated Mia, our main character. I felt like she could have handled everything a lot better, and I'm sure anyone who's seen this episode would agree with me. She just went from 0 to 100 really, really fast, but I still enjoyed it. And anytime I think of Black Mirror, that episode really sticks out for me because I did love the concept of the recaller device, a device to see into your memories. And it's a little bit similar to an episode in season 2 called The Entire History of You. So if you've already seen that and you loved it, you'll probably love this episode too. So Mia and her boyfriend 15 years ago are involved in a hit and run, and then 15 years later her ex-boyfriend comes back and he wants to confess. And yeah, the story really escalates from that point on. But anyways, this episode is dark, twisted. Okay, at number 6 we have the season 2 special, the Christmas special, White Christmas. Now this is a very famous episode, and I think anytime someone says Black Mirror, this is another episode that comes to mind. I actually watched the beginning of this episode many years ago when my brother had it on TV, and I was kind of not really paying attention to it, and I didn't even watch the complete episode. So it was really nice to come back when I'm a lot more invested and willing to pay attention to the stories that these two men in this abandoned little cottage share with one another during a blizzard. We don't know how these two men know each other. We don't know why Rafe Spall, who plays Joe, is so withdrawn, because John Hamm's character, Matt, is the storyteller for the first 40 minutes of this episode. He shares 2 of his own stories, and they don't particularly shine him in the brightest light, but it does help Joe open up a little bit and share a story of his own. It's a brilliant episode, but there are a lot of things going on, so pay very close attention, because the 2 stories that Matt shares in the beginning really illustrate the world that these 2 men live in, and they do pay off at the very end when everything starts to come full circle. So at number 5 we have USS Callister, season 4, episode 1. The production quality of this episode is magnificent. It's about a co-founder of a company. His name's Robert Daly, played by Jesse Plemons, who is walked all over by his business partner and all of his colleagues, but when he comes back from work he gets to play act being a macho captain of a starship in a Star Trek game that he created using his programmatic gaming skills and the DNA of his colleagues whilst they weren't looking in the real world. He's psychotic, who takes all of his bottled up anger in the real world and takes it out on his cloned colleagues in this game. So yes, it's a sci-fi, but it's also about overthrowing a dictatorship, so it's quite political as well. A lot of the times when you're watching it, you're like, will that work? Won't that work? And for me, always being kept on edge is just what made the episode so thrilling, and I loved the ending. Okay, number 4, we have Playtest season 3, episode 1. Playtest was another episode that really disturbed me for a very long time after watching it. And if you guys have seen my traveling videos, you would know that I can relate to the very misfortunate backpacker. I related to him trying to make extra cash because his card got skimmed and he didn't have any cash on him. I related to the fact that he didn't want to tell his parents or his mom what was really going on during his travels. So watching this entire episode unfold, I was completely on the edge of my seat, and I was traveling at the time watching it too. It's one of those episodes where you just don't know what's going on, and it's not to say that it's hard to understand, it's just that there's multiple twists throughout the entire episode. Our protagonist, Cooper, who is played by Wyatt Russell, agrees to hook himself onto a machine which actually uses his own memories to simulate his worst fears. I don't know why anyone would do that, but Cooper does. It was literally like watching a horror movie, and I never watch horror movies. Also, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I did love this episode, so coming from me, that says a lot. At number 3, we have season 4, episode 6, Black Museum. The format of this episode is similar to White Christmas in the storytelling format. Douglas Hodge plays Rollo Haynes, the owner of this abandoned roadside museum that holds little memorabilia from techno crimes that he committed whilst he was working in medtech. Immediately, I thought to myself, why is this museum called Black Museum? Weird name. But then, you know, after the first story that Rollo shares, I thought, okay, maybe it's because all of these memorabilia have really dark stories attached to them. By the second story, I realized this guy's definitely twisted. He'll do anything to make his subjects agree to be a part of his experiments. By the third story, I was like, okay, this guy is a racist. I would love to see more storytelling episodes in Black Mirror, and I loved how everything started to make sense in the last 10 minutes of that episode. The last 10 minutes was pure gold, super justified, love the ending, totally worth a watch. Okay, let me just go on the record to say that I love when Black Mirror mixes sci-fi with romance, because I gotta say those two have got to be my favorite genre. And now that I've said that, you can probably guess what my top 2 favorite episodes are going to be. At number 2 we have Hang the DJ season 4 episode 4. This episode was a take on dating apps, except this particular dating app is called The System, and it matches you with people that you're not really going to end up with forever, and it guarantees a 99.9% accuracy for finding your one true match, which is more than Tinder and Bumble can really say. As viewers, we're all rooting for Frank and Amy to just be together, but it seems like everything is coming in between these two, and it's really heartbreaking to watch, but love the ending. Don't want to spoil anything, but watch this episode. It is beautiful. Now for my favorite episode, drumroll. We have San Junipero season 3 episode 4. I cannot begin to tell you how much I love this episode, and I love the idea of a place like San Junipero. Kelly is this extrovert, very comfortable with her sexuality, very open and just wild, and Yorkie is this really timid, introverted girl who hasn't come out, and she's just very new to everything. She's also new to San Junipero. It seems to be set in the 80s, which I love because I love the 80s, but it doesn't really make sense for Black Mirror because all of Black Mirror episodes are set in a futuristic timeline that is unknown really. But everyone in this episode keeps saying that they only have till 12 a.m, they only have till midnight. So immediately we know that this timeline is not linear. And also once Kelly starts hiding from Yorkie in different timelines, and I love that about Black Mirror. I love that nothing is what it really seems. It's utopic, it'll give you goosebumps, it'll make you cry, but in a good way. It is an amazing episode, and anyone who hasn't watched Black Mirror ever, start with this episode because it will set you up for high expectations, and that's what you can expect from Black Mirror. So yeah, those were my top 10 favorite Black Mirror episodes. Let me know in the comments what are your top 10 favorite episodes, or if you've never watched Black Mirror before, let me know what episode you want to watch from this list. Give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe because I am making more regular content. But I should mention that I did make a Patreon account about a week ago. I am able to make a lot more content now. As you've probably noticed, I've been pushing out a lot more videos lately, and that's because I don't really have a job anymore. I used to work 7 days a week. I now only work 2 days a week. I used to have 4 jobs. I now only have 1, and that job that I'm working at, I'm so grateful to have because it's with my mom. I'm working as a receptionist with her, so I am very, very lucky, but it does mean that I don't have a steady income, and I know everybody is on the same boat, so absolutely no pressure to support or do anything like that. But if you would like to support, and if you are in the position to support, my Patreon account is going to be in the description bar below. Thank you so much for the support. So I'll see you in my next video, and thanks again for watching. Bye!